All right, Shawn, we are in your studio, which is great because it is on your property. And it's well, tell me about it. What's your studio?
Well, when we came to look for a house to buy, I walked straight through the house. The two things I really look at are kitchens and garden space. But when I came out here and I looked at this dingy old garage, I knew that this had a lot of potential. So I started to imagine it. So we did some reconstruction and remodeling, and now we have this beautiful open space. It's a great studio, and it's a classroom. We hold shows here and all different kinds of stuff when it's safe to.
What kind of what kind of design techniques do you do? Do you do a lot of design by hand? Do you work in the computer or a combination?
Yeah. So I love to loosely sketch.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we get a survey, we bring it into Land Effects and clean it up, right? And then Gisela will print out a base plan for me, and I'll just start doodling, and I'll doodle for a while until it's time to start hardening those lines up. So yeah, we use Land Effects and hand sketching quite a bit. Then we, every once in a while, Photoshop. Sorry, not every once in a while. We use Photoshop in Design and Illustrator. But a majority of the work is with Land Effects, especially with the planting plans. I love those.
Cool. So when you work on a project with the client, like your typical clients right now are residential, but you're wanting to expand farther into working with bigger firms as a collaboration. Is that correct?
Yeah, we wanna grow because this mission,
Mm-hmm.
regenerative mission, needs to grow, and right now we have an opportunity to satellite design work. Everybody's doing it right now, right? And but where Studio Petrichor comes in is that we assist with the design, the analysis, the design, and then the implementation. We bring communities together to build these projects as well, and teaching them how to do it so that they take it home and do it in their community. And so we're training those who want to do the training as well.
And what's the derivative of your studio name, Petrichor?
Petrichor is the scent of rain after a long dry period.
I think of like creosote.
Yeah, that smell.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
that's the name?
That's the name. Yeah, it's a name. Petrichor. It's a Greek word.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and to me, it inspired. Well, when I smell that, I smell hope. It's going to rain. It's transformation. It's life.
I don't think that's by accident. I think we're biologically conditioned to. I think like dopamine is released and serotonin released when we smell that smell because, to me, that meant survival when you smelled that smell over the last 3 million years, right? Like rain. Now we're gonna eat.
You hear it, yeah.
Or drink.
Yeah. It's powerful.
Wow.
And there was also something very primal about burning wood, working with fire. It's in our DNA. We've just lost touch with that.
A lot, right?
Yeah.
We've really lost.
It's amazing how our senses are so intertwined with these natural elements.
So a lot of your driving force is that you're really not reinventing anything. You're reconnecting and then sharing that your process of reconnection. Is that close to?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, and the word sustainability, the term connecting people to nature, we hear it over and over and over. And social justice, you say it, and then it just goes away. Where's the action in that? So in our education, we hope to empower. We want you to leave feeling empowered that you're going to do something, right? But it's in the action. So sustainability, really what that means is it's cyclical. It's maintain. You're not going anywhere with sustainability. Regenerative is renewing, it's restoring. It's getting us, we need regenerative now because regenerative will get us to sustainability.
Mm-hmm.
Right now we're in a degenerative cycle like with life.
Mm. So what's your, I'm very interested to see how you got here, right? Because it's a little bit non-traditional. Did you start out with a traditional Eurocentric view of landscape architecture and you kind of learned things along the way, or did you start from the beginning with an interest? What's your journey been like to be where you're at now? And then a follow-up question to that is, where do you hope you are 10 years from now?
It all started with my fascination with plants. You know, in my early 20s, I was just fascinated at the diversity in Southern California. And it started with orchids and succulents. That was fantastic, right? It's like I didn't even know what a I knew 400 species of orchids, but before I knew what a gardenia was, right? Mm-hmm. So I was just so obsessed with the unusual. And it just morphed and developed. And then, you know, I was designing landscapes. You know, I was putting things together. I realized if I'm going to be doing this, I need to put some education behind it. So I went to the UCLA Extension Landscape Architecture program. It was the best decision of my life.
And when did you graduate from that?
We graduated in 2014.
Mm-hmm.
And my hope was just to become a better garden designer. Oh, it's very cool. I'm going to be a better garden designer. And it wasn't until I think Design 4, I was designing healthy communities, that it clicked. It's like, this is so much bigger than me. Oh, I could play a role in other people's health. Mm-hmm. And it just kind of snowballed from there. And when I graduated from school, I went out, started taking my exams, and got in contact with Kiss the Ground and the Climate Reality Project. And I wanted to understand more about the health of the planet and our impact on that. And I got my arborist certification because I wanted to really know more about how we're dealing with trees. And then I got licensed in Nevada, so I'm licensed in California and Nevada. And I hope to take as a landscape architect. Mm-hmm. And I hope to take these practices to dry. It can be done anywhere, anywhere. There are projects that are happening in deserts in the middle of nowhere that they have completely regenerated through these practices. And I owe so much of this to my inspirations from the Green Gardens group and the Urban Water group. And
Are you talking about Pamela Bursler?
Yes, Pamela Bursler. Mm-hmm. Yeah, she was a huge inspiration. Mm-hmm. And then Kiss the Ground with the soil education. Climate Reality Project allowed me to be able to talk about the science behind climate change, do presentations. So all of these tactile things that I've been able to connect to have helped build our mission and who we are. And so this is a global issue. Right now we're working locally, but we hope to be a part of this global movement.
And is that where you want to be in 10 years? Or where
in 10 years,
yeah,
I'd like us to have what firm wouldn't want it, a constant stream of work, mm-hmm. right? Doing the right thing, and our nonprofit continuing that work through education and empowerment. We want to educate and empower communities as agents of change to protect natural living systems. That's the mission of the nonprofit, and in my heart, that's the mission for Studio Petrichor. But where I'd like to see us in 10 years is that even stream of clients and changing and opening minds. We realize that, okay, I'll put it this way. I'd like to see a lot less hardscape and a lot more softscape. I'd love to see a plant-covered city. because it's plants, native plants especially, that are the first line of defense and biodiversity loss. And it's plants that cool the planet, sequester carbon. Photosynthesis is the key to carbon sequestration. But it has to start in our soil. We have to return carbon to the soil. And we can do that. There can be more emphasis on ecology, a lot more emphasis on ecology and landscape architecture. We have the tools and the training, the principles and elements of landscape architecture, great, but what about the regenerative principles and practices? I think that's where we need to start.
Yeah, very, very fascinating. I think
it's simple.
Yeah.
It's simple too. It takes taking a few steps back and saying, whoa, maybe that extravagant concrete wood bench isn't necessary, right? Or maybe that, whatever you want to call it, high carbon footprint, whatever it is, isn't as necessary as what the soil, the land, the region needs right now.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
I think falling in love with plants is an easy sell, right? I think it's, if you tell people that you fall in love with plants, it's not a hard connection for people to make. They might not be in love with them, but they could see how somebody could be, right? I'm going to task you right now with, how do you convince somebody to fall in love with soil? Why should just as people are passionate about plants and what we do, there's a disconnect between our love for soil. And I also think that there's a really big need in order for us to fall in love with soil, so that way we could do our work better. So here's your moment. How do you fall in love with soil?
I want to backtrack a little bit. And as much as I say the word plants is my passion, is that really what it was the connection, the intuitive connection to life support.
Okay.
There's an intuitive connection that I feel that I have with when I put my hands in the soil.
Grounding.
It just so happens that soil is the matrix from which we exist. When you think about it, if there is not a healthy microbiome, mycorrhizal fungi, protozoa, bacteria, all of those wonderful organisms all working together and supporting all life on the planet, we don't have living soil. We don't have life. That, in my opinion, should be proof enough that, oh, wow, maybe we can find, rather than fall in love with the soil, find respect for it.
Okay.
At least. Because the key to our future.
So maybe we start with the respect.
Key to that is respect for the land.
Okay.
The second part is reciprocity. Reciprocity. We have to nurture the soil in order for it to give back. I don't care if it's agriculture, urbanization, I don't care what it is. We have to have a respect for the soil, because that's where water passes through. That's where our groundwater is. That's where our food comes from. That's where food for all life comes from, right? We have to have that respect. So the reciprocity, putting carbon in the soil, allowing plants to grow, to put carbon in the soil, understanding plant community design. It's complex. It's not a one-step approach, right? And then most of all, I think what I start my week off with is a gratitude. We have to have gratitude. Gratitude begets abundance. Regenerative is an abundant. Abundance is the result of a regenerative lifestyle.
When you do workshops at schools, correct? Or you have started to, because you were mentioning that you could do hugels on asphalt. So have you done that presentation yet, or have you created hugels on asphalt at schools so far?
Yeah, we did one this year. We did with the Pasadena Waldorf School. We completed 3 sections. Just just to create a space where they could grow food and pollinator plants, where they had asphalt. It was just an attempt. But what we know is that, yeah, that will reduce the heat island effect by a certain fraction. Now, I'm not a numbers person, but like, let's multiply that times 20. Let's organize it in a certain fashion. So one, it's oriented towards the moist ocean winds, right? So it's harvesting water daily, right? We give it a little bit of love. Those spaces that we create with the way we could landform on top of asphalt, create those spaces. And in a few years, there will be shade. And over time, you build onto that. Even if it's a 3-year temporary fix, school is ephemeral, right? So are these.
Can you also then, the emotional and psychological advantages of having nature in school systems as well? Because
I haven't done my research, but Claire Latenay, who I'm working with and love dearly, she's done all that research. So I trust that what she is doing with Green Schoolyards America is the right thing to do.
Yeah, and
I know that having my connection to nature as a child, and my son, his connection to just playing with frogs and bugs, was hugely impactful for my later years, even though I was total punk as an adolescent. Right.
Yeah.
We come back around, but you gotta plant the seed.
Who are your bands that you liked growing up? What were the punk bands that you liked?
Well, my first concert was Metallica.
Which one?
Metallica?
Which concert, where, what?
Oh, in Reno.
In Reno.
I was in high school.
Yeah. Which album? Master Puppets?
The black one.
The black one.
Enter
Okay.
Sandman.
Yeah.
My musical tastes range, and especially, coming out of the closet later on, oh, Broadway, I do like Broadway. I was just kind of holding it, so I love everything. But in high school, it was Grateful Dead, Jim Morrison, Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd, all the way for me.
Sure. Did you ever see
Beastie
the light
Boys.
show at?
What's that?
Did you ever see the Pink Floyd light show at the?
Always.
Yeah, that was good times, right?
We got to go see Roger Waters perform The Wall twice.
Oh wow, fantastic.
Yeah, Roger Waters is the reason I decided to start dating my husband.
Yeah. Well, Roger Waters he's a force.
I feel like we've captured quite a bit, but Studio Petrichor aims to help mitigate the effects of global warming and strengthen your relationships to the land through thoughtful design and ethical practices, and most importantly, nature-based solutions through a whole systems approach. Our goal is to get you outside, our clients outside, and interacting with nature. Humans have disrupted the natural order. We've disrupted water cycles, soil cycles, and we're seeing the effects today. We've been seeing the effects for many decades now. And it's up to us to reverse that. It may not be our fault, but it is our responsibility. And we are the key, the community. We are the key to that feedback loop. So it starts with soil, and without carbon in the soil, there's no water. Without water in the soil, we lack biodiversity. And it's biodiversity, all of biodiversity that makes up community, both above ground and below ground. And that's the feedback loop. So we have to support soil.
Amazing.
I got a great graphic on that for the ASL presentation.
Perfect.
You can follow us on Instagram, Garden Architect. Get on our newsletter. We're always growing. We're always trying to become more and better humans and better designers.
And I think you're trying to rebrand right now as well, like your identity, is that?
I think branding, it's a process, right?
Yeah.
And
Here
we are as designers. We're trying to create a process for our clients, not a product. So much of us this day in this consumptive age are into the product that we get out of it. but really it's all about the process. It's about us growing with nature and planting that tree, not for us, but for our grandkids. That's what it's about.